Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another Full Queue developer stream where I build apps on stream, publish them to the App Store, and you get to see how they're built, and I get to share my love for writing code. Hopefully it's a win-win for everybody. Today, we're continuing on what we were working on yesterday, which is filtering stations in Underway, which is a subway app for New York City. If you haven't seen the app yet, it's already on the App Store. You can tap on a station, Times Square. You can see all the trains coming there. And then what we're working on today is we're adding destinations to filter. We can start to type in stations. We can select and deselect them, and then add them to the list. So the routes filter is working, but the filter by destination it's not yet working. We're still working on the UI, still working on implementing the actual implementation of it. Where we ended our stream yesterday in particular was when we add stations, the view is not resizing. So let's add that to the queue. Make it a checklist. Say you should resize when adding items, when adding stations. Destination filter view. Don't remember the exact name of the view off the top of my head, so I'm going to lowercase it to make sure it doesn't look like it's a specific name of a class. Oh, and another note, today is Wednesday, so I'll be ending a little bit early than usual. We usually end around 6 New York time, but today we end around 4 o'clock-ish New York time, about 2 hours-ish. Okay, so let's get started with resizing the filtering view. And so that screen is here. It's this one here. It is a SwiftUI view that we're embedding inside of our UIKit view controller. Here we're using a hosting controller. And so what we need to do is we want to resize it. When we add new items, or I guess also when we remove items, it should resize. So I was thinking maybe we could have a height constraint around it. Because we're participating in auto layout. So perhaps we have like a height constraint. And that will equal the destination filters view dot height anchor. Wait, that's just the anchor constraint equal to constant. We could start it off at 0. Wait, do we need to do a manual height constraint? I wonder if we could just tell the screen to resize itself because it's UIKit is doing a good job. Like if I if I pull it down, it kind of it knows to recompute. We just want to force that recompute. Maybe we don't have to do a um, manual sizing. Oh, and I guess this could be this roll view doesn't need to be so verbose. So let's see. I guess the keyboard screen. Um, let's see. I'm kind of looking through my code to see where's this happening. So we have the for each in SwiftUI, and that gets redrawn on. I guess it's like whenever the query changes, we want to call like set needs layout perhaps. Um, and how could we do that? Can we do an on change of? On change of requires that session filter conform to equatable. I guess that's not exactly what we want. Um, or is it? Does query have a publisher on it that we can track? So it does have a binding. So perhaps we can listen to it. See, it's not really giving us access to the query below it. I have to say underscore current filter. Here's the binding. Let's see. Let's see what happens with that. I guess there's two steps here. Um, first, how to listen for changes to the query. I can test. Hey, how's it going? Haven't seen you in a while. How to listen to changes to the database query, and then how to trigger set needs layout. back in UIKit. Query has no member erase to read publish. Okay. Not sure why autocomplete offered it to me then. Uh, hmm. Perhaps we should just make this equatable and use the on change of. On change of station filter. What's the name of it? Current filter. Perform. Let's just print for now. Okay, so let's clear the log and let's see what kind of action we get down there. Let's add a station. We got a change. Remove the station. Okay, so we're getting changes. Changes are coming through. This is good. Now let's see if we can trigger the set needs layout. Have to change list. Have to listen to changes on the DB. On change of view modifier worked out for us. So here we want to, so we could send a message to the output of this view and say, hey, please redraw. Another option would be to for to receive another block in something like, you know, the size changed, please redraw. Kind of like that idea of having a separate block because the output is based on like actions the user has taken. It's more about the data that's being passed around. This is just like please redraw. That sounds very, very much in the realm of the view, and it's sort of two different axes of change. So let's define the block as a parameter. We could say size did change. We can say that's just a void block. We can require that in the initializer and save it in the initializer as well. Not escaping, we'll accept the fix it. Thank you, Xcode. Then the compiler will tell me one more error, which will be where we need to pass that in. Nice, already 2 apps in the store. Thank you. Size did change, so we can say beak self. And we want to say self.view.set needs layout, perhaps. Oh, I'm not sure we're actually calling this method. This app is probably performing well, isn't it? Yeah, it's got quite a few downloads. Um, yeah, so we're assigning the size to change callback, but we're not calling it. We're just printing. So let's call it size to change. Thanks. We open up Times Square, open up the filter pane. I'm not sure why it's taking so many clicks for it to open. Let's see, so let's remove one stage from the filter. And it looks like it is redrawing. That's nice. Um, that did a nice redraw. And then let's try adding something. Add a whole bunch. So you are pushing hard to live the indie dev life. Yes, I'm really hoping it works out. I have a lot of ideas for apps, a lot of ideas for content, and I really hope that the world at large appreciates that. So that adding a whole bunch didn't seem to actually change the size. Wish you all the best. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Hmm. So I'm not sure why. Let's see. Let's set a breakpoint. A lot of ideas, but not enough time. Yes, the tragedy of life. We do get a we hit the breakpoint there. We did get a change, but it didn't seem to update actually. Fascinating. Um, so I wonder if what do I wonder? I just wonder what's going on there. Hmm. Something seems to be broken because it's taking multiple taps for this to display. We got a size to change. What is new value? We have a bunch of the destinations. We take it off. We get size to change again with fewer. Maybe set needs layout is not the right call. Maybe we need to say set needs constraints update. Let's see. Let's try doing both of these set needs. And even when it loads, it's not loading in quite the right spot. Okay, so we got size to change. Or maybe this, maybe the callback isn't getting triggered. Let's see. So we have a breakpoint there. Oh, it is getting hit. Sweet. So I guess that's not quite the right. It's not quite the right approach then. Maybe we do need sort of a more precise height constraint. Let's see. Maybe we can Google for how other people have solved this problem. Hosting controller change height. Yeah. So UI hosting controller. Um, is how we embed SwiftUI into UIKit. Size to fit. Size that fits in. Um, I mean, it's really just the bounds of the view. Um, let's unwrap self. Let's see, view.bounds. Build failed. What's the failure? Circular reference? Oh, but it's weak. We asked for a week. I guess it is still slightly circular. Um, yeah, still circular reference. Okay. Um, see. Well, I guess we can perhaps use a height constraint, and we'll pass the size back through our callback method, or our callback block. Um, we'll say destination filters view height constraint. Equals destination filters view dot height anchor and we'll set the constant to the new height that comes back. Maybe this should be height did change. It'll be new height. Something like that. Then we'll need to add this constraint when we add constraints. And we will need to update the name of the block. And it'll pass back a float. So it's going to be a count times the cell height. And what's the cell height going to be? I guess we could set it to be a constant. CG float. Okay, we can make this a CG float. Then of course we'll have to convert the included destinations count, which is an integer, to a CG float before I multiply. And we can give that to a variable. And let's see if we got it to work. Failed. I suppose this should be a CG float. Oh, and I need to update the signature in the initializer as well. That's what I messed up. Okay. Oh, messed something else up. Particularly a reference. Oh, it saw through my plan to trick it. understand why it's actually a circular reference because this is just a property on this view controller. This callback is saying, um, update that height. I guess we could try to add some further distance. We could put a method there. And then call the method with the new height. Oh, this changes. No exact calls to initializer. Oh, dot count. There we go. Oh, plus there's a little bit more room. Okay. Maybe we need to just use a geometry reader to get the height of the whole thing. Are you getting the data via an open API? Um, yeah, I think you're asking where do I get the MTA train times from? API.mta.info. You can sign up for a free key and make your own Subway app as well. We show only the real-time information. We don't show any schedules. Because as you know, people wouldn't need a Subway app if the New York trains ran on a schedule. Let's see. So perhaps we can just save the height um, into a state and then call a then call the callback through there. Is this only for New York? Yeah, for right now. I think at least in the US, every transit organization is very different, has its own quirks, and only companies as big as like Google or Apple are ambitious enough to try to take on every transit system in the world. But even then, they don't have the exact quirks of each city. And so, I live in New York. I know a lot about New York, and I want to share that sort of that experience through what I think is the right app for a certain kind of New Yorker. And even then, there's many different kinds of ways that people use the subway, and so there's many successful subway apps for New York. Um, I guess mine is the best for real-time decision making. Um, because if you're at a station, you just hit the locate me. Um, so if we're here, you can easily see the trains right there. If you're on a train coming up north, you're approaching Union Square, you're like, should I switch to a express train? You don't have time to open up a different app and say like, where am I now? Where am I going? Um, you just want to see like what train is coming to the station. Um, you can make decisions. We show you the elevator alerts. We show you any system alerts um, for that station. Yeah, lots of other features too. But let's get back to trying to size this. We don't need to save the cell height. Let's call it the current height. And I kind of want to make that nullable because I don't want to initialize it with something. Well, I guess I could call it latest height. Interesting. So not the standard thing. Nice. Guess we could say the latest height is 0. Then when the latest height changes, because the geometry changes, you can call the callback function. Oh, right. I need to say color dot clear. Oof. Just want to store it. I just want to store it in a value. Oh, why is SwiftUI so frustrating sometimes? There's got to be a better way to just store a value from geometry reader into a state and doing the preference key dance. Oh man. Well, I guess I don't need it to be in a state. I can just do when preference changes. So I guess it's not that big of a deal, I guess. Um, so let's define a background size preference key. Value is of type CG float. Oh, right, and it has to be a list of CG floats. Or 0, I guess. Oh, in out. Um, okay. Oh, yeah, different failure. So we're not doing on change of latest height. On preference change of background size. Say height did change of height stop first or 0, I suppose. Oh, and this needs to be inserted into a list. Failed is the failure. Backgrounds? No, that's not true. I'm just doing it wrong. There's no way that's true. Is this really only in iOS 15? Ouch. Yeah, I guess I've only out of the SwiftUI work I've done has been in iOS 15. Um, have I used Geometry Reader before in this app? I have. I guess I used this size modifier. And where did I use this size modifier? Um, I haven't actually used this. Okay, well, let's try using it. Then on change of, we'll say current size. I'm going to send the height back up. Oh, and that's too many close curlies. Using this. Hmm. think setting the height to default to 0 is maybe not the best idea because now it's not drawing anything at all. Let's see, that is in our view controller. Where's our height constraint? Oh wait, this is here's the view controller. Let's set the default height to be 50. Okay, so it's there, but it's not. Oh, okay, let's add a whole bunch. Ah, it's not redrawing. We add a whole bunch of them. Guess we could see when does the height did change. Are we getting are we getting are we getting the right information? So is that a breakpoint there? Oh my goodness. Yeah, maybe SwiftUI isn't the right tool for this view, which really pains me because I really want it to work. But like all this stuff is fixed. I guess like I didn't realize in iOS 14 we didn't have a background modifier. Um, so we don't have like a way to export a height. Okay, let's try one more thing. Let's see, work. Let's try sizing it in UIKit. So we can still trigger like, hey, it's time to resize, height did change. We'll just send back 0 for now all the time. Then in the view controller, instead of setting it to be a direct height, we can say maybe we can try that directly. Or the other option would be to say that size to fit. Let's try taking off this height constraint. And seeing if this gets us to resize our SwiftUI view inside of our UIKit view controller. I guess we can update our comment resizing SwiftUI view inside of a UIKit view controller. Because there does seem to be a way to trigger it. Like when we do this pull down, like something is happening. It's like it's doing something. There's got to be a way to do this. Huh. And that wasn't it either. So let's try setting a that constraint again. Let's uncomment it. Add it back to the list of constraints that we're activating. Maybe we need to call this on view did appear, perhaps. But let's see what we get for this. Oh, that seemed to work. Oh, okay. Wow, that seems to be working. The sizing from UIKit worked. Calling size that fits. Call size that fits, and we set a constant on a constraint. And then we called set needs layout. I wonder if we need to call set needs layout, or if that's extraneous. Let's try commenting it out and trying it out. Oh, that's already not a good sign. We can't even click it. I guess we do need set needs layout. Oh, but even putting set needs layout in didn't actually. Do we need to call this on the end of view did load? Oh, and this should probably say height in it. Ooh, it kind of jumped. Okay. Let's rename this. Let's put this also at the end of view did load. Still a little bit of a jump. But it seems to be otherwise working well. Yeah, it's kind of stuck there. I think we knew that in. Try will appear. This should happen right before the first paint, so hopefully it won't jump around. Okay, it's missing the padding. Okay, so we say done and come back. It looks okay. I really need to make the need to implement the swipe to delete, something like that. Because trying to go into the search, like this isn't the final UI at all. Let's run it again. Where were we? Are we at Union Square? Okay, that's loading fine. Okay. So we can say what our summary was for how to do this was. Well, let's commit before we summarize too much. We did an on change of. Summary. Let's make this a heading. Um, in SwiftUI, listen for model changes. And use a callback to tell UIKit when to resize. And then in UIKit, use a height constraint to constant. On the SwiftUI hosting controller. When we get the callback from SwiftUI, then we trigger our height measuring function. I guess we also do this on view will appear. And then the size measuring function we use size that fits on the view. Update the height constraint. And call set needs layout. So I guess this is our recipe for on the whole screen, just barely. This is our recipe for resizing a SwiftUI view inside of UIKit. So we can make this a little bit more easy to use. We can rename. I think this should be called again to maybe size to change, because we're measuring the whole size. I guess we're only really interested in the height. I guess it could go either way. But we don't need to pass the height back anymore. Definitely want to change that. So let's make a totally void function. Maybe just call it like content did change. Since for all SwiftUI knows, it's possibly the same height since we're not measuring at all in SwiftUI. It's just saying our content changed. So time to remeasure. I have a programming question. Sure, what is it? The real official birdie? Why does that not work? Um, uh, that looks like JavaScript to me. Um, let's see. Look at the developer console in advanced. I have Firefox installed. Let's see, let's paste this in. Star dot left. Looks like you have some comments in there. Not letting me paste it. Okay, so window.add event listener on key down. Yes, E is the event. RPS is 20. Switch the code. If it's key A, then go down, move it a few pixels. You're trying to move something around on the screen based on if it's ASD. Oh, um, it's the problem is it only works once, then is broken. Yeah, it looks like you need maybe some state. And do you have the HTML that goes with that? Let's see. Let's make a directory. Won't let me post it. Oh, weird. I guess you could. Can you DM it to me? Oh, that's a lot. Player is an image. Okay. Over game buttons. Got a map. Player tracker map. Got a sky and some grass. I have too many slash divs. Oh, I see this here. Not found. That's weird. Oh, this goes in pages. Pages. Okay, so we have our div. Then we want to add some JavaScript. So let's open a script tag. Case key A. Actually, the player. Well, yeah, I don't have that file, but hopefully I'm still able to help a little bit. Oh, I see. PS is how far to move it. You have a Discord? No, I don't have a Discord quite yet. Maybe it's time to set one up. Operation or statement is expected. Yeah, I guess how are you getting the element? Because it just has star star star. Um, can we say document dot is it called get element by ID? It was a PLR of R that I connected to a query selector. Cool. The we need to do maybe like document.ready or something like that. Console.log tomato. Yeah, so we're getting that. And then let's look up key down in JavaScript. Oh yeah, we could start with this. Let me say it was document.hello. Okay, so we're getting our listening working. So now it looks like we want to move the CSS around. Switch e.code. It's A. I don't know. Let's say I guess default will be to break. Let's see. How do we set styles directly? JavaScript, CSS. Let's see. Let's say current position. Say it's 0. So when we say left, we can say the left is current position. But first, we want to update it. So we'll say current position plus equals. I guess probably minus equals 20. something like that. And we could do oh, we have break already. Then let's reload that. And inspect it. So there's not really updating the styles of it, are we? Sent to an absolute position. We don't need this over here. Oh, maybe needs to position relative. I guess we can try logging it and see what I mean. I've been stuck on this for 2 days now. Yeah, we're gonna get this though. We're gonna get this. This is definitely doable. I'm a novice at JS. Cool. Well, welcome to the club. It's fun over here. Even though sometimes we do get stuck on things for 2 days, we learn and we get better. Okay, so we're getting updates. We can see current position is updating. We just need to set the right CSS. Set CSS with JavaScript. Style.property equals. Okay. And I think it needs maybe a wrapper around it. Well, it has one called the map. Hmm. Let's see. Let's try setting it to be a string. And if we inspect it, are we getting any changes to the style? Disposition relative. We're not seeing any updates to the actual style, which is a little surprising. Let's start by setting it to be something. See, let's clean up the spacing a little bit. Let's start it off at 200 to show that we're actually using the right property. Okay, so that's the right property. We see it's moved over a whole bunch. I'm going to switch the order of these, and I also want to print out log.style. Okay, so it's a string 200px. There we go. We're moving it around. What's wrong? I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what was wrong. Let's go back to your code. I think one thing that was different was that you needed this style, like the element .style .left for one. And maybe you had that. It was asterisked out in what I copy pasted. Let's get your switch statement on screen again. This is what was in Twitch chat. There was a bunch of asterisks, so I'm not sure if you had style .left. That's another difference is I used double quotes, which I'm not sure if that's necessary or not. I'm going to set it back to be single quotes. Okay, so number of quotes doesn't matter. And I also did do I need to string cast it first? No. Okay, so that's not what was wrong. I guess another thing that might be is that I guess you're doing this minus equals of the property itself. And because it's a string, it doesn't quite make sense. I guess one thing I'm doing, I have the current position as a separate variable. Let's see, date position. And this is a number, so I can add and subtract from that number based on which key I'm pressing. And then at the end, after I set the new position, then I update the style by setting a string. It looks like your code is trying to subtract and add from the um, the CSS style, which is a string. Is there like a dude emoji? Be a cowboy. No, I think the biggest thing is you're adding and subtracting from a string. You need to add and subtract from a number, and then once you do that, you convert it to a string and set it on the style. Does that make sense? Um, I can say that I can say get the style. I can say dot left, and see this is a string. Now if I say left minus equals 20 um, 20px, that's it doesn't make sense. It doesn't move. If I get the style again, it didn't change. And if I add, and now it's this string, which doesn't make sense. Oh, thanks so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so your code was adding appending strings, which then you get like 120px plus 20px is that. It's the same as saying, 160px plus 20px. But what you probably meant to do is, yeah, keep track of a number for the current position, and then you can add or subtract with it. This is why I love Python. So much easier. I think it might be time to go back to my natural habitat. Um, yeah, right on. That's another idea. I guess it's like where you want to deploy your game to. I think Python also has, you know, the type system is closer to JavaScript than it is to Swift, where you can store a string or a number in the same variable in Python. Um, but thanks so much for the question. This was fun to figure this out real quick. I guess this is current X. You could also probably have like a current Y, and also add like a top. Um, W, Y. I guess it's minus equals 20. Case key, S. Y this equals 20 break. And I guess this should probably be like D. Oh, I'm missing a quote. Then we can update. This is current X style dot top Y. You say Swift is easier than JS. I think it just comes down to preference. I think they both have their challenges. They both have their things that are easy. If you want to build for the browser, I think JavaScript is 100% the way to go. I'm not sure why I'm getting this this error. I guess there are more warnings than error. You're building for iOS. I mean, I love Swift. Swift really matches how my brain thinks about programming. That's why I fell in love with it. Um, JavaScript is also another fantastic language, but yeah, the type system is a little different. And people have tried to fix that with TypeScript, which honestly I'm not as familiar with. But from what I've seen, there's some nice things going on there too. Update position, update pos. And what's the error here? Expected token. No, I think that's correct. Let's see what Firefox thinks. Unexpected colon. Oh, this was supposed to be a semicolon. There we go. Now we have our boy running around free. If you want to make a web browser game, then I would say continue with the JavaScript. Get to know and love its quirks. If you want to make an iPad or iOS game, then yes, Swift is great. You can also write iOS apps in JavaScript, which I personally don't like to do, but some people do like to do it because then it also runs on Android. So as with most things in life, there's pros and cons to everything, and it also comes down to just what you prefer. I mean, we could use an image instead here. Let's make an image. 1 second. I'll be right back. Didn't really need to show an image. That makes it less shareable. Go back to putting an emoji in there. And yeah, here's the final code. Here's what was asked. Why doesn't this work? And we got it to work. Oh, but it's not a comment there. Put it back in the script tag so it remains a comment. Cool. So that was a fun question. Thanks so much for the question, Real Official Birdie. Now let's go back to our project at hand. Right, so we're showing a bunch of stations. We probably want to make the station a little bit nicer to look at, and we probably want to make it easier to delete something. What you're working on now? Oh, this is an app in the App Store for looking at the subway times in New York City. You tap on a stop, see when the train's coming. You can see all the stops if you click on the name of the station. Not all the stops. You can see all the trains coming. And because it's a lot of trains, and maybe you're only interested in one, you can filter by route. So it only show the NQRW, for example. You can quickly clear it. And then I guess what we've been working on for the past few days is maybe you want to filter just by the station that you're going to. Like for example, on the 456, the 5 goes on 2 different ends sometimes. Sometimes it runs express. Same thing with the 6 train. Sometimes it runs express. I want to know if I'm, at Union Square and I'm on my way potentially home. Why only iOS? It's out for Android as well, but not as many features are out for Android. Let's see, I think it's Bang Google Play. It's the link to the Android app or App Store. The link for iOS. Right, so we're thinking about if we're going to certain stop on the five, such as Simpson Street, we're able to check it off, and then only see trains from Union Square that go to Simpson Street. And so far, we've been working on the UI for this. Um, and yeah, that's what we've been working on. Um, I would use it, but I live not where near New York, and I'm only 14. Cool. Yeah, everyone lives where they live. Congrats. Congrats on that. A few things. We probably want to align these left. We probably want to say borough that the station's in, and probably a few other things. So let's look at our cell, which is here. So right now we're just saying the station name. Let's see. So we have the borough available. We do. I guess we have to give it some default. And then I think we have a. Is this a view? Like it is. This can be the borough. And we want to make this bold. We want to set the font to be see if that works. What is the failure? Oh, did I make a SwiftUI fonts yet? Set Helvetica dot content. Cool. And then just like in our search screen, we show the trains that stop there. And it's kind of the signature of the app. So I would like to show them here as well. Signature of the station. Let's see if we have those. Oh, doesn't look like we do. Is it on the underway station? No. We have to make. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. This call will get everything we need out of the database. Cool. Now let's show the routes. Maybe just like in between. I guess I'll default to no routes before we load it from the database. And I think we have a. How have I been showing route badges in SwiftUI? Yeah, I guess I could peek at my other code, the search sheet. Oh, I do have SwiftUI fonts. Okay, and this is how I should probably extract this as a shared view since I'm going to be using this a lot. So let's do that real quick. Maybe call it route badges view. And it will take a list of routes. Oh, and I guess a size. It should take a size as well. Cool. Now we can reuse this in a few places. We can use it immediately here in the view that we've been working on. And we can also use it on the search sheet. And we can run it and see that we didn't break anything. It's looking gorgeous. Let's search for a station with more routes, maybe like Times Square. Cool. Those look great. And then let's look at our filter screen. Whoa, that's a lot of space. Definitely need to make some changes there. Looks like they aren't actually showing. Um, Even though this is working as we just saw on the search sheet. Why aren't they showing up? That's so odd. Oh, because I never assign it. So it's staying to be the empty array. That makes sense. And I guess need some padding on the outside. It's looking better, but it's adding way too much space in the middle. I guess it's the spacer right at the end. It's probably going to affect the search sheet a little bit. Let's wrap it in its own spacer for the search sheet. Well, it might not need to do that. Let's just take a look. Okay, now let's try taking it off. We saw that in fact works, so we have something that we can at least fall back on. Okay, perfect. So that's working perfectly. So now let's take a look back at our filter screen. It's a little spaced out, but other than that, it's looking good. Let's try limiting the size uh, of this cell. Maybe 50. That's still quite large. Let's say the padding is only horizontal. I wonder if that's where the extra space is coming from. No, not quite. Oh, and while we're here, we can update the font. This should be content bold. Let's take a look at the view debugger. So kind of let us look inside of this view. Here's the vertical stack. Quite a few vertical stacks. We have a background. It's not highlighting anything. Which is a little unfortunate. Because it's not giving us, it's not really helping us debug the view. So I guess we're on our own a little bit here. I guess what we could do is put a background on each cell. Wow, those are huge. Okay. Maybe 50 is just too much. But I mean, it's for a person's fingers, and I don't want to make it too small. I mean, I guess there's room to put the route badges on the next row then. We'll put the alignment to be leading. We need a lot less spacing than that. I haven't done anything on this station yet. Let's add a few. Okay, and then it's looking a little better. I want to make an easy way to like clear it, like maybe have like an X button. And I guess these titles are bigger than the section title. I guess that's true over here too. Maybe these need like a like the border around it or something. Or even just this little control that we made. Yeah, let's add that little checkbox in. Check circle, I guess. Was it like it's like check mark circle or something? Um, check mark circle fill. Probably needs like a different color. um, oh, and this needs a foreground color as well. And like, how should we like swipe to delete? Should you tap to delete? Maybe just tapping on the X deletes it, or on the check mark deletes it. I think that makes sense. So then we need some way to mark that it was deleted, I guess. You probably need just like a helper. Um, this is going to need to know the current station ID. Oh, I guess we should save it. We're going to be using it again. Um, cool. And then once we implement this method, we should have a much easier way to delete stuff. It'd be very similar to this creator update, actually. Since we're only removing one, we're going to load it and then create a new one, removing at. Okay, this will say current destinations. Remove ID. There we go. And then we just want to save that. A little bit of a failure because we need to wrap this in a task. So because we're doing async. Oh, and await. Cool. So now I should animate a little bit. um, cool. Now it's almost time to like actually implement the filter. But we can commit what we have so far. So what do we do? We showed better station row. And tapping on the check mark deletes it. Deletes it from that filter. I'm not sure if I like that. You can almost like do that like by accident maybe. Just like, oops. But maybe that's okay. Because maybe you kind of want it to act like this view where you tap it and it like doesn't delete it. It just, disables it. You would have to like swipe to clear it. That might make a little bit more sense actually. But that's something that we're going to pick up tomorrow, I guess. It is Wednesday, so we have a shorter stream today. Thanks so much for the new follows. You can download this app on the App Store and on Android, on Google Play. And I'll be back 2 o'clock tomorrow for continuing to work on this app. Thanks so much for joining me. Making programming content. And I'll see you soon. Thanks so much for watching.